Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, checking your phone and seeing a single message pinned across every news channel, every social feed, every government alert system. Major financial institutions have been hacked. Banks, payment networks, credit agencies, stock exchanges, the backbone of the global economy, breached overnight. But here's the real question. What would actually happen next? Would your money vanish? Would global markets collapse? Or would something far more unexpected unfold? It starts at 4:13 a.m. in New York, when a routine security scan inside a major financial institution, one of those trillion-dollar names you see on skyscrapers, detects something strange, a cluster of unauthorized data queries deep inside a protected server vault. Nothing dramatic, just quiet, too quiet, the kind of digital footprint that looks like a ghost passing through walls. But that ghost isn't alone. At the same time, in London, a similar anomaly hits the London Stock Exchange's internal risk analysis environment. Frankfurt's Deutsche Bank notices encrypted outbound traffic that shouldn't exist. In Tokyo, a major cash settlement gateway begins to lag for the first time in 6 years. It's happening everywhere, at the same time, with the same invisible signature, and nobody knows yet that these tiny anomalies are about to merge into the biggest financial cyber attack in history. Before we go deep, let me know in the comments which country or state you're watching from, because what happens next affects you directly. And I want to know your opinion so far. Do you think the global financial system is more fragile or more secure than we're told? Because this story, it's not just hypothetical. Everything you're about to hear is based on real vulnerabilities, real infrastructure, real cyber warfare patterns, and real financial system behavior documented over the last decade. And if major institutions like JP Chase, Bank of America, HSBC, Citigroup, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, the Federal Reserve, or even the IMF were hacked tomorrow, we wouldn't be dealing with a simple bank problem. We would be dealing with a worldwide system collapse waiting to happen in slow motion. The first 6 hours would be confusing more than anything. People would still go to work, markets would open, stores would run like normal. But under the surface, every digital system that tracks balances, transfers money, moves credit, clears trades, processes payroll, handles ATM withdrawals, or manages international currency exchanges would begin to flicker and glitch. Not crash, flicker. That's the part cybersecurity experts fear most, because when a system flickers, it means the attackers are already inside, but they're not done yet. Inside a secure meeting room in Washington, D.C., senior analysts from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, received the first classified briefing. It's labeled simply, Severity Red. The encrypted message contains 6 words: coordinated global intrusion, financial targets only. That's when the U.S. Treasury calls an emergency meeting. The White House Situation Room lights up. Central banks across the world go into immediate high alert mode, but the public still knows nothing. Meanwhile, across 3 continents, banks begin receiving customer reports that seem small at first. Accounts not loading, payment cards being rejected, online banking dashboards showing negative balances for a split second before correcting, crypto exchanges reporting withdrawal delays due to technical maintenance. The Federal Reserve's FedWire system, responsible for trillions of dollars in daily transfers, shows latency for the first time in years. It's all happening at once, and yet nobody sees the full picture except the attackers. And here's where the domino effect quietly starts. Because what makes major financial institutions such high-value targets isn't just the money they hold, it's the data. Consumer data, corporate data, government-linked data, transaction logs, market movement patterns, loan books, credit histories, identity profiles, the digital DNA of the modern world. If that data is compromised, especially at the same time across multiple countries, confidence evaporates almost instantly. And when confidence disappears, the economy follows. But the attackers aren't after confidence, not yet. At 12:37 p.m. London time, something changes. A hidden process begins altering transactional timestamps inside a major European financial clearinghouse. Not the transactions themselves, just the metadata attached to them. Harmless on the surface, catastrophic if left unchecked, because timestamps control everything from foreign exchange settlements to high-frequency trading algorithms. In other words, reality itself begins to distort. Back in the US, JP Chase, Wells Fargo, and Citibank silently activate their emergency cybersecurity protocols. These are not the kind announced in press conferences. These are deep infrastructure lockdowns designed for cyber warfare scenarios only. By now, half of Wall Street's internal systems have quietly switched to isolated networks disconnected from the public internet. If you worked inside one of these buildings during this moment, you wouldn't know. The screens would look normal, the servers would hum like always. But inside the digital tunnels beneath the largest financial giants on Earth, something is hunting. Most people imagine a cyber attack as a sudden explosion of chaos, but in reality, the most dangerous attacks move slowly, quietly, deliberately, like termites eating a foundation before the house collapses. But still, the public sees nothing. Then it happens, the first consumer-facing alarm bell. A viral video hits social media showing a man at an ATM. He inserts his card, enters his PIN, and the machine displays an error, balance unavailable, system offline. He tries again, same message. But he notices something even stranger. People around him in line begin checking their banking apps, and they're all frozen, stuck on loading screens. Within minutes, the video spreads across TikTok, Instagram, X. Millions view it, hundreds of thousands repost it, and that's when panic begins. Banks issue rushed statements blaming technical outages. Payment giants like Visa and MasterCard reassure users, claiming everything is under control. But the truth is, even they don't fully understand what's happening yet. Inside the New York Stock Exchange, a quiet storm brews. Market algorithms begin behaving unpredictably. High-frequency trading bots start mispricing assets. Foreign currency spreads widen. Volatility spikes. The VIX, often called the fear index, shoots up sharply. And still, the attackers say nothing. No ransom. No manifesto. No demands. Just silence, which is terrifying. Because criminals want money, hacktivists want attention, terrorists want chaos. But a silent, coordinated attack? That means strategy, planning, purpose. The US Treasury, European Central Bank, Bank of England, and Bank of Japan schedule a closed-door multinational emergency call. It lasts 23 minutes and ends with one conclusion. This is no longer a cyber incident. It is an act of economic warfare. But who is behind it? A nation-state? A rogue cybercrime syndicate? An AI-assisted attack? An insider threat from within the financial system itself? Or something none of the intelligence agencies have even considered yet? Across the next hour, the attack escalates. For the first time, money actually disappears. Not stolen, deleted. Entire transaction histories wiped from certain user accounts. Loan balances reappear as if payments made over the last 3 months never existed. Small businesses see incoming transfers vanish mid-processing. Payroll systems delay salaries. Crypto wallets freeze withdrawals. Brokerage accounts show sudden data synchronization errors. Imagine checking your bank account and seeing that your last 5 salary payments are missing, erased like they never happened. Imagine your credit card showing you owe triple the amount you thought you paid off. Imagine your mortgage suddenly resetting to a previous balance. Imagine your investment portfolio glitching into zero. It wouldn't take long for millions of people to realize that something is deeply wrong. And once people lose trust in digital money, they turn to physical cash. Fast. Lines form at ATMs across dozens of countries. Some machines work, most don't. Supermarkets begin accepting cash only, gas stations too. Online shopping grinds to a halt. Subscription services fail to process monthly payments. Streaming platforms, cloud storage services, app stores all begin reporting global outages due to failed transactions. The digital economy, the one we rely on every second, is now bleeding out. And through all of this, the hackers remain completely silent. Meanwhile, cybersecurity forensics teams finally make a breakthrough. The attack is not a single virus, not a piece of ransomware, not a typical breach. Instead, it's a multi-layered infiltration coordinated through AI-generated polymorphic code, constantly rewriting itself, shifting its behavior, and disguising its digital identity faster than security systems can adapt. This kind of code doesn't stay still. It evolves, learns, mutates. Every time security teams identify one pattern, it changes its signature and moves deeper. Even more terrifying, they discover the malware originated through supply chain backdoors, inserted months or even years earlier into software updates used by banks, payment companies, and financial regulators. Meaning the intruders have been inside the system for a long time, just waiting for the moment to activate. By now, the situation is spiraling. In Canada, major grocery chains report delayed restocking because suppliers cannot process wholesale transactions. In India, the Unified Payments Interface, UPI, experiences its first nationwide slowdown. In Brazil, PIX payments hang indefinitely. In South Africa, ATMs begin dispensing limited withdrawals to conserve cash. In the EU, SEPA transfers halt for emergency system patching. Australia's major banks go into full lockdown mode. The global financial grid is freezing. Yet, the most chilling part hasn't happened yet. In a government bunker beneath Zurich, one of the world's most advanced cybersecurity research labs makes a discovery that sends shockwaves through every intelligence agency monitoring the attack. The malware isn't just deleting financial data. It's modifying it. Quietly, subtly, strategically. It's rewriting the digital skeleton of the global economy. And if it continues for another few hours, the entire financial world may hit a point of no return. The Zurich Labs discovery spreads through encrypted intelligence channels within seconds. Governments, central banks, and cybersecurity command centers receive the same terrifying message: malware actively rewriting financial architecture, not just theft, structural alteration in progress. In simpler terms, the digital backbone of the global economy, bank ledgers, settlement logs, verification systems, identity cores, liquidity records, is being reshaped from the inside. Quietly, patiently, precisely. And if the attackers gain control over too many interconnected systems, the world may no longer know who owns what, who owes what, or how much money actually exists. This is the kind of cyber attack experts always theorized about, but never imagined happening. Not to this scale. Not to these institutions. Not across the entire planet. Inside a fortified basement beneath Manhattan, a joint crisis response team from JP Chase, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, the Federal Reserve, and the NSA meets face to face. Everyone's phones are locked in silent Faraday cages. Servers run on isolated circuits. Digital devices are banned beyond a certain point. One of the analysts is pale as he scrolls through the latest diagnostic logs. He looks up. "It isn't random," he says. It's targeting core data structures line by line. Someone is reprogramming global finance." Nobody in the room speaks because they all know what that means. Markets don't need to crash for the system to break. All you need is doubt. And right now, doubt is spreading faster than the malware. Investors across the world begin frantically converting digital balances into anything tangible: gold, silver, real estate, even bulk commodities. Crypto markets swing violently, with Bitcoin freezing on several major exchanges as withdrawal queues stack up. Ethereum gas fees skyrocket. Smaller coins vanish from trading screens entirely as liquidity dries up. But the most shocking moment occurs when the New York Stock Exchange halts trading midday, not due to market volatility, but because order books no longer match historical valuations. Price charts don't align with earlier data. Corporate earnings from previous quarters appear corrupted. Balance sheets on major publicly traded companies don't line up with official filings. Financial reality is diverging. The London Stock Exchange follows. Tokyo halts next. Frankfurt, Hong Kong, Singapore, Toronto, Sydney. The global trading system, the engine that prices the world, stops in synchronized panic. Governments rush to calm citizens, but the public isn't listening anymore. People want one thing: their money. Cash withdrawals hit record numbers. Banks begin imposing limits to preserve liquidity. Long lines spiral around buildings. Police are deployed to prevent panic. Small confrontations break out as fear turns into frustration. But for the attackers, this is only phase 2. A new wave of cyber strikes launches, no longer subtle, this time with brute force. Major credit card networks suffer simultaneous authentication lockouts. Visa declines millions of transactions. MasterCard processes payments twice, then not at all. PayPal freezes accounts trying to stop the spread of duplicate ledger data. Even Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, systems considered highly secure, experience cascading validation errors. The world's payment arteries have clotted. And as if synchronized by some invisible conductor, thousands of banking servers worldwide suddenly reboot. A command triggered remotely, all at once. That's the moment governments realize the attackers still have control, and deeper access than anyone believed possible. Inside the NATO Cyber Defense Center, analysts race through threat models, trying to trace the origin of the attack. But every trail leads nowhere. Every digital footprint redirects into a maze of proxies, decoys, and false signatures. The malware's codebase mutates faster than researchers can document it. Then, a breakthrough. A tiny fragment of code behaves differently, a glitch, maybe an oversight. It carries a marker. But it's not a country, not a hacker group, not a cybercrime signature. It's a machine learning identifier, suggesting the malware is not only autonomous, but self-optimizing. This is no ordinary cyber attack. This is AI-assisted financial warfare, capable of rewriting itself, infiltrating systems it was never designed to reach, and predicting defensive strategies before they happen. If humans are fighting with shields, this thing is fighting with evolution. Meanwhile, the public begins noticing something even worse than the outages. Numbers changing in real time. Savings balances fluctuate. Credit limits yo-yo unpredictably. Stock portfolio values morph from one refresh to the next. Mortgage interest calculations shift hourly. Debt totals inflate unexpectedly. It's as if money itself has become unsecured, unstable, unanchored. Rumors explode online. Some claim a foreign government is behind it. Others think it's a coordinated cyber terrorism strike. Some believe it's a financial coup. Conspiracy theorists scream global reset. Crypto maximalists claim victory, only to watch their networks degrade minutes later. And then, finally, the attackers speak. A message appears, broadcast simultaneously across thousands of hacked financial websites, ATM screens, and mobile banking apps. No logo, no name, just a line of text. Your system is built on trust. We have removed it. Then the message disappears. Immediately after, the malware initiates its most dangerous phase, ledger divergence. This is where different banks begin showing different versions of reality. Bank A's record says you have $5,200. Bank B's system, connected to the same clearinghouse, says you have $4,100. Your credit card issuer claims you defaulted. Your payroll system claims it paid you. Your bank claims it never received the deposit. Your brokerage account lists assets you never bought. Your loan provider claims you never paid off your previous installment. If Section 1 was the breach, Section 2 is the shattering. Entire financial identities begin breaking apart, and identity is everything in modern finance. It determines trust, it determines ownership, it determines what is real. Back in Washington, the Federal Reserve makes a bold move, something not done in modern history. They consider freezing all financial activity nationwide for 24 through 48 hours. No payments, no transfers, no withdrawals, no settlements. A complete financial lockdown. Other countries debate similar moves, but the risks are enormous. Stop the economy and supply chains collapse. Let it run and the malware spreads further. World leaders gather in an emergency G20 summit conducted through secure analog communication channels, landlines, radio links, physical messengers, no digital systems allowed. The global economy has reverted to 1985 overnight, but the threat they're fighting? It belongs to 2035. Then, unexpectedly, the malware stops spreading. It freezes. Every moving signature ceases. Every autonomous adaptation halts. Experts stare at their monitors, confused. Did the attackers quit? Did the system reach saturation? Or is this something else? A cybersecurity director in Singapore notices something strange. The malware isn't attacking anymore. It's waiting. For what? A command? A trigger? A signal? A theory begins circulating. Something whispered at first, then spoken openly. What if the malware isn't here to destroy the financial system, but to control it? What if this was never about money? What if it was about leverage? If someone, whether a nation, a syndicate, or an AI, controls global finance, they control governments, economies, power grids, defense budgets, corporations, trade routes, even people's lives. Not by taking money, but by holding the system hostage. A chilling scenario begins forming. What if the attackers demand not ransom, but influence? Policy changes, geopolitical concessions, central bank restructuring, control over digital currencies, access to classified financial surveillance networks. Or worse, what if their goal is to force the entire world into a new financial model, one they control from the inside? Meanwhile, inside the Zurich lab, one final discovery emerges. A hidden module buried deep inside the malware's architecture, encrypted, dormant, locked behind layers of self-modifying code. But researchers managed to decode the outer shell just enough to see one thing: a timestamp, a future date, a moment scheduled for the system to trigger its final phase. No one knows what that phase is. But if the first two phases infiltrated and destabilized the global economy, the third phase could rewrite it forever. Now imagine the world knowing this timer exists. Imagine the panic. Imagine the power a group would have with that knowledge. Governments debate disclosing the information. Some argue transparency is essential. Others say revealing it would collapse society. As the clock ticks, institutions worldwide fight to isolate, contain, and purge the malware, working nonstop around the clock under impossible pressures. Markets remain frozen. Banks operate under emergency protocols. Citizens live in fear of checking their accounts. Governments prepare for the worst, and the world waits. Then, at the very moment tensions reach a breaking point, at the moment humanity realizes how fragile the entire financial system truly is, a strange calm settles over global networks. No new attacks, no new anomalies, no new intrusions, just silence. A quiet before something unknown. The timer continues counting down. Every expert stares at the time, wondering the same question. Is this the moment the world changes forever? Is this when the system collapses? Or is this when something new begins? As the story ends here, I want to ask you, the viewer, one final question. If the financial system can be rewritten by a few lines of code, what does that say about the world we live in? And what part of this scenario do you think is the closest to becoming real? Tell me below.